Hello, Namaskar. Welcome to the video lecture on Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Dear students, this is Dr. Chandra Shekhar Sharma, Associate Professor of English. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss the poem Ode on a Grecian Urn written by John Keats. Today's video lecture is divided into three segments. First, I'll be talking about John Keats. Then we will discuss very briefly about ode, what basically it means. And then we will do a detailed critical analysis of the poem, and that will be stanza wise. So let us talk about John Keats first. Let us understand what actually the contribution of John Keats was in English literature. Keats was a famous English romantic poet. His poems reflect romantic spirit in a very deep sense, as they are highly colored with imagination, intellect, scholarship, as well as emotions. They project the heartfelt feelings of John Keats. They follow the principles of romanticism. Keats belonged to the second generation of romantic poets. The other romantic poets who belong to the second generation are Byron and Shelley. Keats was born in 1795 at Moorgate, near the city of London. He has examined the human life in the light of melancholy, in the light of pains and suffering. And this pain and suffering are very much visible in his poems. His personal life was very sad. It was full of griefs. He lost one of his brothers. He was sick as well for some time, and he died very young. He always tried that his name should be counted among the famous English poets of romantic era. But this could not happen during his lifetime. But after his death, Keats was hailed by critics and scholars of English literature in a very high esteem. Because it was Keats who not only colored his poems with his personal emotions, but with universal human values. He was successful in comparing ideals with practicals, mortals with immortals, time with timelessness. One of the very important aspect of Keats' life was his study about Greek culture and mythology. During 19th century, the writers had very strong inclination towards Greek culture and mythology. And it was so high that many writers started putting references to Greek culture, mythology, and different aspects related to Grecian history in their works. Same happened with Keats, but it was long back. One of the very important aspect of Greek literary tradition is ode. Originally, odes were written in Greek literary traditions to commemorate or to celebrate any event or any object or any scene or anything of some importance. Ode basically is a long poem written to praise any object or event. This very word ode is derived from the Greek word eidin, which means a song written in praise. Every ode has a rhyming scheme. That is why it can be sung, otherwise it cannot be. Now let us come to the poem in concern in this video lecture. We are going to discuss Ode on a Grecian Urn. This poem was written as a tribute to a vase or a pot that was seen by John Keats. Many critics say that Keats saw an old urn is a pot, which was exquisitely ornamented by some designs and pictures. And he was so influenced by the beauty of the art projected on the urn that this ode came out. One thing that I would like to add is that Ode on a Grecian Urn is one of those 6 odes which were written by John Keats in 1819 in succession. 5 odes were written very quickly in succession, and the 6th ode, that is Ode to Autumn, was written somewhere in September. These 6 odes are Ode on a Grecian Urn, that we'll be discussing today, then Ode on Melancholy, Ode on Indolence, Ode to Nightingale, the very famous one, Ode on Psyche, and Ode to Autumn, which was written later. 5 were written very, very quickly within a span of 2 or 3 months, and 6th one was written later. So that is why Keats is known as a writer of odes. He has mastered this art. So let us come back to Ode on a Grecian Urn. So Keats once saw this urn, and he was very much influenced by the designs that were engrossed or embossed or painted on that urn. This ode celebrates the long lastingness, that is endurance, that immortality of beauty. It is a tribute to the art. In this ode, the poet is, that is the John Keats, is fancied by the images that are painted on the urn, and he praises those pictures for their immortality. There are 5 stanzas in this poem, each comprising of 10 lines. Each stanza commences with a rhyming scheme and end with a Miltonic sestet. Let us come to the first stanza. Now in this first stanza, the poet is overwhelmed by seeing the adorned Grecian urn. He talks to that urn, talks to that pot, and he says so many things in praise. We will see what these are. So let us first come with this one, that how it goes on. The stanza starts with the word thou. Thou means you. The poet admires the depiction of pictures and scenes on the urn, and addressing to the urn, Keats uses a variety of metaphors. Let us see what they are. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, Sylvian historian, who canst thou express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. The poet is talking to the urn, and this literary device or poetic device in which a poet talks to a non-living thing is known as apostrophe. So this ode starts with an apostrophe. It's a style of writing poem. So poet says, thou still unravished bride of quietness. Means the poet phrases the urn as bride of quietness, which is not disturbed. Foster child of silence, because the urn is silent. He says you are foster child of slow time, because for a non-living thing, time is not progressing. It is encapsulated there itself. He also calls the urn as a Sylvian historian who cannot express himself, but A flowery tale is sweetly more than our rhyme. That means your tale is far more sweetly than us. Now let us come to the explanation. Talking to the urn, the poet says that you are bride of quietness. You are child of silence. You are child of slow time. You are Sylvian historian. He observes some patterns there and he says, what leaves fringed legend haunts about thy shape of deities or mortals or both. Talking to the urn, he says that, what are these legends that are painted on you? Are they mortal deities? Are they immortal deities or mortal human beings? I don't know, because nothing is written there and they cannot express themselves. Seeing the picture of a group of men and women, the poet puts a question to the urn and asks, what men or gods are these? Who are they? What maidens are they? Where are they going? What is their pursuit? What are they doing? What is struggle to escape? Are they struggling to escape? Is there a fight going on? What are these pipes and timbrels meant for? What wild ecstasy? So in this first stanza, the poet is talking to the urn. We should try to understand what are the metaphors expressed in this first stanza for this this urn. So the first one is still unravished bride of quietness. This is the first one. The second metaphor is foster child of silence and slow time, and a historian who cannot tell the sweet story of past. Let us move to the second stanza now. The poet deeply observes a picture on the urn in which a young man is playing a pipe. The young man is lying under a tree with his lover. This is the crux of this stanza. Now, how the stanza starts. Now, looking at the picture in which the piper is there, lying along with her lover under a glade of tree, the poet says, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on. The poet addresses to the piper and says that heard melodies are sweet to our ears, but those melodies which cannot be heard by ears, which can be sensed only by heart, which can be sensed only by mind, are sweeter because they are unaffected by time. So, oh piper, play on the sweet memories, because your sweet melodies cannot be heard by ear but can be sensed, not to the sensual ear but more endeared. Pipe to the spirit deities of no tone. He talks to the poet, lauds to the young piper's position of immortality and youth, his art and the love. And he says that, oh fair youth, you play on your music. You are lucky lying beneath the trees. You cannot leave this place. The human beings are mortals. They have to leave. They have some other task to do. But you are fair. You lying there. You are lying there, and you will never believe me. So thy song, never ever can those trees be bare. The trees under which you are lying, they can never be bare, because autumn will never come to them. They are full grown. So bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss. So he says to the piper that you should not grieve, for you cannot kiss your lover, but you should be happy because you are near to your lover always. Do not grieve, because your lover will never fade, because she will be always fair to him. Her beauty will never be fade. She will never grow old. Forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. You will love her always, and she will be loving you always, because both of you are encapsulated, are fixed in a time. You cannot come out of that. The crux of this stanza is timelessness or eternal existence. The poet praises the piper and the lover because they cannot die. They are immortal because of the artist. Let us move to the third stanza. In the third stanza, the poet observes a new picture on the urn comprising of blooming trees. And he calls these trees happy because their leaves will never be shed. Spring will never come to an end to these trees. He praises the trees that spring will never end for them. The poet comes back to the piper and he extols, he praises the piper to produce the sweet melodies incessantly, continuously, for being warm and remaining young forever. The poet asks the piper to celebrate that he will remain young forever. And in this stanza, Keats compares the mortal human life full of agonies and its results with that expressed in the art. This stanza starts and it says, "Ah, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves nor even bid the spring adieu. Oh, happy trees, you can never bid adieu, you can never say farewell to the spring. And you, happy melodist, unwearied, untired, forever piping songs forever new. You should pipe, you should produce melodies, songs forever, every time new, for more happy love, more happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed. Oh, piper, you will be ever warm and you can enjoy this spring, eternal spring forever. You can enjoy your melodies forever, forever panting and forever young. You will never grow old, piper." The poet says that you will ever produce the song and you are happy. You should be happy that you will never grow old. And here he comes back to human life and says that, "But we, the human beings, all breathing human passion for above, we human beings who are breathing, that leaves a heart sigh, heart high, sorrowful and cloud. Our hearts are full of sorrow. Your heart," he says to the piper, that your heart will never be full of sorrow. So you always remain happy because you are enjoying spring. Your song will never end. But human beings are full of sorrow. They are crowded, their minds are crowded with different types of agonies. They are crowded with different types of worries, anxieties, diseases, pains. And that's why their forehead is always burning with different types of thoughts. And they have a parching tongue, which always talks about worries and all. So here in this stanza, the poet is comparing the human life with the life that has been engrossed in by the artist on the urn. He says that the piper is very lucky to be there. He will never grow old. He has no worries at all. So let us come to the crux, the theme of this stanza. He says the happiness in poet's point of view is related to eternity. He says that eternity is proportional to happiness. Poet appreciates timelessness, that is eternal existence, and he compares life versus life with lifelessness. You must have noticed that there are 3 lines in this stanza that starts with the word forever. Forever piping songs, forever panting, forever young, forever warm. What does this word forever signify here? The very word forever signify eternity. So in this stanza, the poet is celebrating eternity, but He also compares the agonies or the uh, worries of human life with timelessness. Let us come to the fourth stanza. In the fourth stanza, the poet's attention shifts to another scene of sacrifice. The scene comprises of a priest, some villagers, and an altar. He's not able to understand what it is, so he's questioning. He first questions to the urn that who these people are, why are they going, where are they going, what are they, and why are they sacrificing the heifer that is depicted there. And then Keats migrates to the town of the folk, and he says that the town is now empty because everybody in the town has come to the procession. And in the town, there is nobody, not a single soul, who can answer to the question that where have they gone? The people who have gone are now frozen, he says. In this stanza, the poet is also putting an imagination about the little town of the folk. He questions about the location of the town. Does the town is located nearby the river, or nearby the seashore, or on the mountain? Wherever it is, wherever that beautiful town is, but that town must be sad because it is emptied. So let us try to understand this stanza line by line. Who are these coming to this sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadest thou that heifer lowing at the skies, and all her silken flanks with garland dressed? The poet questioned, who are these coming to the sacrifice? What is this procession about? And then he comes to the fifth line. Let us come to the fifth line now. What little town by river or the seashore, or mountain built with a peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk, this pious morn? The poet says that this little town must have been located somewhere nearby the river, or by the seashore, or on a mountain with a peaceful citadel, but that beautiful town is emptied now. There is peace, but that peace is full of mourning. That peace is full of sorrow, because in the town there is nobody. And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell what thou art desolate can never return. And in the town there is not a single soul to tell what thou art desolate, why the people have desolated, why the people have gone to the procession. Nobody is there to answer, and those who have gone can never return to the town to create hustle bustle. So the town will remain always sad. In the fifth stanza, the poet is again talking to the urn, and he celebrates or praises the urn. He praises, "O Attic shaped," that means eternal artwork. "O eternal artwork. O Attic shaped, fair attitude." Here, attitude means posture. So, graceful attitude with bread, exquisitely bred. So, let me come to the stanza, and then we'll be coming to the critical analysis. "O Attic shaped, fair attitude with bread, O marble men and maidens overwrought with forest branches and trodden weed, thou silent form dost tease us out of thought." First he phrases, first he praises, he extols the urn, and he says that, "Oh dear urn, oh eternal artwork, oh full of graceful posture, exquisite braid." The poet says that you are full of artwork that gives peace to me, of marble men and maiden overwrought. But in the third line, the poet has a complaint. The poet says that the crowded patterns which are marked on the urn is teasing him, teases out of thought. It teases my thought, and doth eternity. It also teases eternity. He says eternity of urn lies in the fact when poets eternity. Let's come to that. When old age, as doth eternity, cold pastoral. things that are related to pastoral are termed as pastoral. Cold pastoral, oh peaceful pastoral. He compares the urn with pastoral peace. So he says that when that oh great work of art, with your graceful posture and your exquisite ornaments, when the old age shall this generation waste, when the old age will come, we all will die one day, but you shall remain in the midst of other. You shall be there to give message to some people. Means human life will grow old. My generation, the poet's generation, will die one day, but you will never grow old, oh dear urn. You will remain there in the midst of other woes. Others may be suffering of different things, but you will be lying there. Then earth a friend to man, and you will always have a message for mankind, for human life. And that message will be, beauty is truth, truth is beauty, that is all. Ye know on earth, and all ye need to know. And there will be a message propagated by you. He says, truth, then the message will be, truth is beauty, and beauty is truth. And these lines reflect the Vedic philosophy, uh, where it is said that Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So the poet says that when we will be, the generations will be passed, when the poet's generation will be over, or when it will grow old, you will still remain young, my dear urn, and you will have a message to propagate to the coming generations for a long time, that truth is a beauty and beauty is truth. In the last two lines, it says, beauty is truth and truth beauty. That is all we all need to know. So in this stanza, uh, the poet is uh, coming back to the real world, and he says that an expression of art is the real truth. Beauty and truth are same thing. This is the justification of John Keats in this stanza. The poem reminds us about the principles of romanticism, and it is the deep spirituality is very important. The poet is indirectly saying that an artwork involves spirituality. It expresses truth, and that is why it is beautiful. Let us come to the some of the uh, phrases that are very famous from this poem. One is, a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. It is in the first stanza. And very famous lines from this poem that are often quoted by scholars are, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. The third one is, pipe to the spirit ditties of no tone. And the last but not the least is, beauty is truth, truth beauty. So these are the quotations that you can cite somewhere in your answers, or when you are paraphrasing, or when you are doing something. Uh, Let us come to some of the questions that may be asked to you in your examination. The first related to this poem is, write a detailed critical appreciation of the poem Ode on a Grecian Urn. I will not put a dictation before you regarding the answer, but I'll just briefly discuss that what are the points that you should discuss in your answers. The first one is, when you answer this question, you should talk about what the poem is all about. It is about a Grecian urn to which the poet is addressing, and how that urn is. Then you should describe the pictures observed by the poet. Then you should talk about stanza-wise summary, that what are the different themes of different stanzas, and what is the poet's point of view. And then after that, you talk about the themes of this poem, and the themes are mortality, eternality, eternal being, and then art, beauty. So this content will make a perfect answer for this question. The second question that is asked is, what are the literary devices used in Ode on a Grecian Urn? In this question, you have to talk about the poetic devices. Now, poetic devices are some measures that are taken by the poet to make a poet to make a piece of art or a poem very influencing or very beautiful. So, what are those devices that are used? Number one is alliteration. is there in the poem. Now, what is alliteration? You better refer to Dictionary of Literary Terms by Abrahams. You will find all these definitions there. So alliteration is there. Now try to find where the alliteration is there. Then there is assonance in this poem. Apostrophe is there. I have discussed about apostrophe very briefly while I was talking in the first about the first stanza. So apostrophe is there. Then the poet also uses personification here. Enjambment is also there. Then rhyming scheme is also required to be discussed in answer to this poem. This question, sorry. Third question is discuss the major themes of the poem Ode on a Grecian Urn. To answer this question, you need to briefly discuss the poem and the poem's philosophy, the vision of the poem. Then you should come to the major themes. The major themes of this poem are art, eternity of art, that is very important, timelessness, that is very important, then comparison of human life with artistic depiction, and then some phrases are required to be discussed in this question particularly because they reflect the theme. Uh, uh, I believe that this video lecture on Ode on a Grecian Urn would have been very helpful to you. Thank you for watching this video, and if I request you all to like this video and share with your friends. Thank you very much.